Morning, how are you? Joy here. I'm in the midst of getting out my clay that I haven't had out in a long time. So I thought I would try and make a nice polymer clay cane. I am totally out of practice, but I dug out all my goodies. So I have a pile of tools, I have some leftover clay from last time, and I thought I would give something a shot. So what I have here is white, and I've pre-conditioned and made into sheets. This one is, I believe, teal blue pearl. This is an interesting color I found called Tranquility. It's kind of a bluish gray cast to it. This is turquoise pearl. This is deep red pearl. I like shine. I don't know why, but I do. I have some basic black. I have some gold. So these three are my contrast colors. And then I have this, really they just call it blue. To me it's like an ultramarine color. I quite like it. And I have this little blob of green which may end up in there. This actually was a blend of this god-awful green color that I got for Christmas. It's called String Bean. And I think it was a blend of String Bean and the Tranquility. It's kind of a cool color, really. And I have just enough to be maybe the center of a bullseye or something. So I thought I'd throw that in there, seeing as how most of the colors are blue tones. So I don't have much of a plan on the go here. What I did think I would like to do is I think I'm going to start off by making a blend. And I think that what I want to use for my blend is going to be this lovely, like I say, it looks like ultramarine to me. It doesn't look like just plain blue. But I have some more of it, and I think because of the contrast that it would make the nicest blend. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to lay that on here so I can get the same size. And I'm thinking that once I get the blend, I've totally sliced right into my finger with this thing earlier. I really have to get myself a stiff one. I just have this flexible blade, and I was trying to cut through a big chunk and it kind of bent and my finger ended up underneath it. So one of these days I'm going to get myself the proper equipment. So now that I've got my two stacked, I just want to go corner to corner. As you can see, I'm working on a piece of glass because I find it's a little easier to be able to, if I have to put my blade underneath it to pick it up, seems to work better for me. So, put this back together. Like so. As you can see, I haven't left any pure white or pure blue on the ends. It's going to be all a blend, because I have some other pure blue that I will be using later on. So I don't mind if I don't have straight blue. Alright, so this is what I'm going to blend. And I'm just going to put it through my pasta maker, and I'm going in this direction. Might take a minute or two to get a nice blend. So I put it through once, fold it in half, put it through again. I did not take the time after I was done my last one to clean the machine, so God knows what color is going to come out of this thing. I might get the odd stripe here and there. So far we've got this. Never looks like much when you're partway through. I get halfway through making my blend and I go, oh my god, this isn't working, it looks horrible, because it does stuff like this. And I panic. And then it all kind of settles in and does what I want it to, so. I always do the same little moment of panic while I'm starting. But then we get to part with this, and you can see the three different colors, and I go, okay, alright, it's working, I did it right. I'm not losing my mind. Because I'm menopausal now, so of course I could be losing my mind at any given moment. So that's nice, we're getting there. And I don't think I really need it to be a smooth blend from point A to point B. I kind of like it when it's got the variety going on. So I do like that. I might do one more time. And sometimes I have to switch sides on my pasta maker because one side seems to be a little finer than the other. So one side eventually will stretch out longer than the other. So I kind of flip it back and forth to try and defeat that. So here's my blend. I think I kind of like it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim, make sure I have my sharp side down. That usually helps. Trim my rough edges. I'm going to trim my rounded top. So now I've got my light side and my darker side. And I think I actually want to make that a little bit thinner. Probably should have done that before I trimmed it. I want it to be a little bit longer. There. Yeah, definitely should have done that before I trimmed it. Trim it again, I guess. There we go. So I do want to have some nice strong blue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a roll, a worm, whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to move this for a sec while I do. I'm going to try and make it the same length as this guy. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten them out. So here is what I'm doing. I'm just going to flatten him right out on top. So I have a nice strong dark blue edge. And I know I said I didn't care if I had that. And then as I was watching it, I thought to myself, I really do like that blue in its pure form. And I'd like to have some of it. So I changed my mind. So now I'm going to start my fan fold with this nice pure blue on the bottom. And it's thicker than the rest, so it should give me a nice strong edge. I think I have a dog hair in my cane. Not that that's unusual, because there's dog hair in everything in my life. All right. So here we are, we're done. Just going to try and square it up a little bit. And this is our fan fold. So it does give some nice variation in color. I'd like to make it a little thicker, so I'm just going to kind of compress it together with my fingers. So I don't have quite such a long, skinny one. And now that I have that, I'm sorry, it seems really awkward. My movements might seem, this is in the middle of my island. It's the only place I can actually hang the camera above it. And so I'm leaning over quite a long ways to actually do the work. It's not right in front of me. And sometimes I find it a little awkward. So it probably looks awkward, I'm sure. All right. So what I want to do with these, I'm trying to decide if I want to put it, I think I do. I think I want to put it back together this way, but I want to put something interesting in the middle. And I think this might be where my, where did it go? This fella. I think that might be where this fella comes in. Now I have a few things I use to make indents. I have a chopstick, which is kind of cool because it's round on one end and it's square on the other end. So I can kind of get both shapes. And so I think, I want to do this evenly, so I think I'll do it both sides at the same time, like so. And I want to put this guy in here. Needs to be a little skinnier. You fit now? No. That end's getting a little closer. So the indent's not all that big. I could make it a little bigger. So theoretically, if I put these together like so, then I should be able to put this in here. So I just want to make sure that it's not fatter on one side than on the other. And then I'm going to cut them to the right length. So there's the first one. Like so. There's the next one. And there's the last one. I suppose I don't really need to roll that hoop to do it. Alright, so there we go. I like the look of that. That's much more interesting, I think. It's going to give that a push. Make sure it's all glued together. Alright. And I'm going to compress this. I want it to be fatter because I kind of like to go this way with it. I should have thought of that. It doesn't really lend itself to going this way. If you cut it, it's not going to do much. So it has to go this way. So we're going to try and stretch it out a little bit. And then when we add other things to it, we can reduce it so that it's long and thin instead of being short and fat the way it is now. So my middle is not doing what it's supposed to do, but the rest is starting to get longer and thinner. The hard part about this kind of thing is the edges always seem to lead. So you just don't end up as square as you would like. However, that should be long enough to do something with, because once I add stuff to it, I'll have a better piece to reduce. So it doesn't look like much at the moment, but it's going to be cool later. So I may actually even make it into a triangle at some point. That would be kind of cool, because then my little balls would kind of do this like a petal. I'm just going to set that aside and let it rest. Hopefully all this stuff is on camera because it's hard to see from where I am if it is. So I also would like to do some sort of, I want to do a spiral, but I want to kind of do it so that it's like this. So I'm going to use, I think, the red sheet to be my dividing point. And I'm going to use a couple blues, and I want to make a strong contrast. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stack a few of these colors. Those three, these three. All right. I'm going to stack some of these. And then I'm going to make a spiral cake with it. So I try to keep all my bits and pieces separate so I can reuse later. And the shortest one seems to be here. And the narrowest point seems to be about there. And on this side, I have to come all the way back to here, I think. All right, so this gives me this, and I think it's a pretty color combination. So what I have to decide is I have to decide which one I want to be in the center, and I'm just flattening out one end so that I have a nice starting point. Still not very flat. There we go, that's better. Excuse me for sniffing, it's allergy season, as I keep telling everyone, and I have dogs laying right under me that I'm allergic to. And it sounds horrible, and I apologize, but I just can't seem to fix it. Do I want the gold on the outside? I think I might, because the gold against the red gives a nice bright contrast. So what I want to do then is I want to roll this way. And the first little starting bit I find always the hardest. See that? There's a hair right there in the middle of my... There. So, see if I can get this started nice and even. A few million fingernail prints in it. At least I'm not bleeding on it. So here's my spiral bit. Now you can, when you're doing a spiral cane, you can obviously angle this so that it's a little smoother. I'm trying to decide if I want to do that, because what I want it to do was a contrast. I don't think I do. Do I? No, well, I still have to reduce it, so I guess I might as well. I guess I might as well. So we're just going to kind of go like this with my not very sharp blade. There, okay. My clay, see how soft it is? It's really humid and hot, and my clay is just not happy. So I have to make sure I let everything rest. All right, so that should smooth out a little better. So now I have this spiral. And we want to reduce it down because I want to cut it in half. And I'm going to wrap one end of this opposite directions around two ends of this cane. So I'm going to split it, and then I'm going to put one here, and the red will go like this. That's the plan. Because I love when spirals meet up in a cane when you're doing a pattern. It looks really cool. Little curly cues everywhere. Air bubble right in there that I might have to do something with. So I'm going to do these, and I'm going to let these two things rest before I move on. So I'll pause the video and let them rest and get back to them later. In the meantime, I have my spirals. And you can see where the ends are. So I want my ends to come together. It's hard to see when I haven't got both sides. I'll hold a couple things. Kind of have to, just to find out which way it's going. There, that's better. So, you see this? I want this to go so that this is curling this way, and that is curling that way, like that. So it kind of has to go like that. And when I have that, like that, whichever side I can see it better on, I want to take my red, and I need it to be the same length like so. I need a nice clean edge. No, I do have a little bit of red left if I need it. A nice clean edge like so. And I want to start maybe here-ish and go around. Like so. And I want it to go around like so. So if you can see what kind of look we're going for, this is the look we're going for. And in order to make this look, or to retain the shape that it's in right now, I'm going to have to fill this section and this section with triangles of some sort. And I think that's all I have left for the gold, so I can't do that. I'm trying to think what color I want to use. I want a contrast color. This color I haven't used yet. So maybe that's what I'll do. So I'm just going to, this is the actual chunk of clay that I haven't done anything with yet, but it's actually a nice square at this point. So I'm going to try and lengthen it out and then make two triangles out of it. All right. Just need it to be a little more square. I'm not sure how I ended up with a chunk of something. It looks like black. And now to figure out if I can somehow cut this into two triangles without slicing my hand. That wasn't so bad. I do have a little air bubble in the middle because, like I said, this is just a chunk of block of clay. It's not actually conditioned or anything, aside from me playing around with it. So if I put that there, and I need a nice sharp point, and I put that in there, that should help hold that shape, like so. Do the same with the other side. We'll make a nice sharp point. This side's a little skinnier, just from the way I cut it. So we want it to be tucked right in there, and tucked right in there. Like so. And then I have to trim the extra. Like so. And then I think I want to wrap this whole thing in the same color so that it matches. So here's my sheet that I had made earlier. I'm going to butt it up against there and wrap it like so and trim it off. So it goes kind of from there to there. That's what I'm missing. I just realized I'm missing my X-Acto knife. And hopefully this is long enough to go from there to there. Oh, it is. Awesome. So I need to go kind of from here to here. right, so that at least makes it look like it's supposed to be surrounded by the blue. The blue's part of the pattern. All right, that's better. I like that better. So at this point we have this, we have this. The colors are kind of strange. I'm going to have to do something about black or white or something in between and pull these colors together. But I don't know what yet. So in the meantime, I'm going to let it sit. I still have this color that I haven't put in it yet, but I may not. Maybe I'll just use white and black. I do still have some black as well. But we shall see. We shall see. For now, let it rest, and I'll get back later on, and we will see where we go from here. Toodles for now. Alright then, I'm back. It's been a couple hours, and my canes have had a chance to set. So I should be okay to move them around now without them smearing too awful much. I do have to reduce this fella down. I haven't really done anything with it once I wrapped it, so it's going to have to get reduced down. But while I was away and I was thinking about things, I decided that I do want to make this into a triangle, and then I want to wrap it in some of the black. And I'm going to make this the base, so this part's going to flatten out, and this triangle part's going to go on top. And then I'm going to do something down one side, but I haven't decided what yet. So the first step, probably, should be this guy. So he's going to turn into a triangle, and I'm just going to pinch him that way. I'm going to force him up to the top. I'm hoping that my circles that are running through here end up making kind of a petal shape when I do this. That's my thought. It may work, it may not, who knows. I'm trying to decide, should I put something down the center? Maybe. Why not? Just for fun. Just for fun, maybe that's what I'll do. So since I have this piece sitting here of nice shiny white, I'm going to put that down in there. And I'm going to pinch my triangle up to it. So it's now got this little white spot in the top, just for interest's sake later. It's always nice to have little random things here and there that make part of the pattern later on. Sometimes the ones that don't look like much when you start out have the most impact later on, because somehow or other it lines up with something else and turns out cool. And I apologize for the dog whining in the background. I just let him out, and yet somehow or other he's decided he needs to go again, and I'm ignoring him. That or he's annoyed with me because I just got home and I decided to start playing when I got here. One or the other. Okay, so we have a triangle. And they haven't really looked like they've changed much. They may have moved closer together, but that's probably about it. And so, as you can see, one side of this triangle is a little bit more sloped than the other. I'm going to have to work on that. But I also have to reduce it to match this length. So I guess I can work on that while I'm at it. So I'm just going to reduce a little and get it shaped the way I want it. And I just put my hand up to the edge because I feel like it kind of cuts down on some of my waste from when the ends get all distorted. If I have something to push up against, then it stays a little bit more even. And I mean, you still always get some sort of distortion because the middle never seems to squish out as far as the ends do. I like to try and cut down a little bit here and there where I can, because obviously more distortion means more waste. And this is glued right down to my board, so I'm just gonna lift it off. There we go. More distortion means more waste. I don't like waste if I can help it. It's not the squarest looking base. I always end up somehow with one end that's wider than the other. Something to do with the way I reduce, I guess. So it's looking like it's getting to be, yep. So by the time I trim the end, so there's my 3 spots. Pretty close. I have other end to do a little trimming on. I trim very little when I first start out because I figure that if it's good, I'll do less waste, and if I have to trim a little more, I can. Obviously that one I didn't get all the way through the distorted part. That one's a bit better. A little tiny air bubble in there. Alright, so I'm going to make this line up with this. This eventually is going to be one big triangle. But I want to do something up this side to add some sort of interest to my pattern. I haven't decided what. So what I have left to play with, that I've, at least stuff that I've prepped, I have a bunch of white. I still have some of this Tranquility or whatever it's called that I haven't used yet. I still have a little bit of red left. I have lots of black left. I don't have any, well, I have a little tiny itty bitty gold left, not much. So I don't really know what I want to do with it. I kind of like to do something with a little bit more of the red, simply because it's a nice contrast and I haven't used very much. Maybe I'll get some of that out. And I'll put it through the pasta machine here. And while I'm doing that, maybe something will pop into my head that might be nice. You never know. You never know. Something occasionally will just pop out and say, oh, let's do this. And it works. So I don't think I want to put the red and the Tranquility together. I don't think they look all that nice together. The red and the black would make a nice contrast, I think. As I said, I still have this white. I haven't put a lot of white into it yet. There's white in the blend and there's white in the curls, and that's about it for white. So while I originally thought that this cane was going to be mostly blues with some white and gold and black, it really hasn't turned out to be quite what I wasn't like picturing in my head. I don't know what I was picturing in my head. But I certainly wasn't picturing red curlicues and green blobs. And that's what I've got so far. As you can see, red curlicue, green blobs. So I need something a little fancier. So I think what I want to do, perhaps, I want to make a stack, do some sort of interesting stripe pattern. I think I might. I'm not going to do a big one. Just want to even out my edges here. Make it the same size so I don't have to play with it later. I have the worst time with the white and the red. I always end up with bits of red in my white. I guess it's just the color comes off, so you can see it comes off really easily, and eventually after I've used it a few times I end up with pink. That was unintentional. I have a hair. I almost shed as much as my dog, really. There, I think I got it. And while I was doing that, I realized that my red doesn't go all the way across, so I'm going to trim this again this way to see if I can't get my red to the edge. It's close. So what I'm kind of thinking in my head is that I'd like to have some form of stripes to go down this side as kind of a pattern that's interesting. and something that will match up with something else. Now if I put stripes this way, the only thing that's going to match up is the outside color. So I think I want to try and put stripes this way. And so that means building a stack. And so what I'm going to do here is cut a bunch of these about the same size. I'm cutting with the wrong side of the blade. Haha. It's actually working really well. And so I'm going to stack these like so. And that way I'm going to end up with this nice red, white, black pattern. This could be a very strong pattern, so it may take over the whole cane. I don't know. We'll find out. And I'm just going to line them up and give them a push. That one's a little thicker than the rest, to get rid of the air bubbles that might be there. And what I need here is for it to be the right size. So it needs to go from there to there. So I only need one more. There, I cut it perfectly. So before these all get totally glued together, I'm going to try and separate, and I probably did too late on the red and the white. They don't want to come apart. Oh, maybe. Maybe I'll be able to save some of it. And again, see? Just that red gives off so much color, and all your hands go red, and all your tools go red. It's just a mess. Alright, so I think that will be the right size. So we're going to put that right there. And I'm going to kind of glue it down to the base because I want it to touch up against the rounded edge, and then roll it up to here. And then once I get it on there and I trim it, that's an interesting pattern. And then what else do we want to do? It's going to be a really funky looking cane, I can tell you that. Really funky looking cane. Let's see how much red ends up in my white here when I get it all smoothed back out. Might be a little bit of a pinky color. That's not too bad. So this is the same color as that. I think I've used enough. I don't think I need any more. This is the same as those little dots, and I think I need to put something else in here that's got some of that dot. And this might sound a little weird, but I think what I want to do here is I want to thin this out. And roll it. But I want to roll it around something. Oh, my dog's life is so difficult. Can you tell? Really, really difficult. He's just so hard done by. I'd love for you to be able to see what he's doing. Let's see if I can get my other camera to work well enough to take video of what he's doing here on the floor, because it's hilarious. Okay. What are you doing? He's on the floor doing it, but it won't let me take a picture. One sec. 1 second. Tonka. What you doing, Tonka? Is your life difficult? Now that I've got the camera, you're not going to roll around on the floor anymore, Mary? He has his daddy's shirt on today because he has hot spots and he keeps trying to scratch holes in himself. So the shirt is one of those things where I'm hoping that it will fix the problem. So this is the problem that you hear in the background all the time, that you hear me get frustrated about. It's this guy here. Apparently he's feeling a little verklempt. So at least now when you hear all the weird noises, you'll know what it is. This is my life. It sounds like Evinrude trying to get his motor started. Vroom, 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 vroom.